And welcome to another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I'm your host, Noah Love, and today, Thursday, January 8th, 2025, we are going to be talking about the two CFP semifinals. Tonight, it's Ole Miss in Miami, and on Friday night, it's Indiana and Oregon. I'll give you both my predictions on that. We will also be talking about John Harbaugh being fired from the Baltimore Ravers, LOL, Ravens, and what the Ravens' next move should be, what they are thinking. And we will also get into the breaking news that Mike McDaniel has been fired by the Miami Dolphins. All this and more right now on the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Okay, let's just start it. Mike McDaniel has been fired from the Miami Dolphins. I Dolphins finished 7-10. They rallied after the 1-6 start. I thought they finished the season out well. Finished it 6-4. I believe sat two of those last three games. Mike McDaniel is gone. Um, they said from Yahoo Sports, it says the move came after McDaniel met with team owner Stephen Ross, who eventually decided to part ways with the head coach. Ross confirmed as much Thursday, putting out a statement announcing the move. Uh, the Miami Dolphins have relieved head coach Mike McDaniel of his duties. It's a disappointing end for McDaniel, who looked like one of the best hires of the offseason 2022. Despite being a relative unknown at the time, the Dolphins took a shot on McDaniel, who immediately delivered back-to-back playoff appearances in his first two seasons with them. Things got off to a miserable start this season as the Dolphins were embarrassed by the Indianapolis Colts in Week 1. Miami's offense failed to gain traction in the loss, and its defense allowed the Colts to score on every single offensive possession. You know the Dolphin season. I don't have to go. You don't have to go through it. Look, there have been rumors that the Dolphins have reached out to John Harbaugh. Uh, They reached out to him, I guess, to test the waters. And I think that played a part in firing Mike McDaniel. Maybe Stephen Ross thinks he could get John Harbaugh. Because I don't see how I guess because you sat on it for a couple of days, but I just don't see how you fired. What's the difference between firing Mike McDaniel today and Monday? Like I I don't know. I don't know. Now, was the move warranted? Yeah. Even though I thought Greer was more of the issue there, I thought it went Greer to a McDaniel. Yeah. Look, the season was so bad, all three gotta go. And also Tyreek Hill's probably gonna go too. It's just in Miami, it's a blow it up situation. It's a blow it up situation. They have a top 10 pick in the draft. I have no idea. Are they going to try to trade up to go get quarterback? I don't know. They're in a, or I think, are they in top 10? No, they're not in the top 10. They're just below. So yeah, they probably have to trade up. So I don't, they're in a tricky spot because how are they going to move off of Tua and Hill? Hill, I think I know he's going to be coming off the leg injury. I think you can move him easier than you can move uh Tua's contract is just disgusting. For the production he gave you this year, it's disgusting. I don't know how you're gonna move that contract. Uh I Will somebody take him? Probably, but I don't. But to be honest, it'd be hard to find some suitors, especially if you're a even if you're a quarterback needy team. Like the Jets at the number 2 pick, so they're going to take Mendoza or more. Same thing with the Raiders. I don't. The Browns have Shador on a rookie contract, so they might as well be like, let's see what we got there. Look, I don't know. Who do they hire? I have no clue. Here, do they go to a more defensive minded, tough head coach? Which, if that was the case, you should have just kept Flores. I don't know. Don't know why they didn't. That was stupid in the first place. But yeah, I think that's kind of where they need to go. I don't think Flores is going to be the guy because obviously, lawsuit, the way it ended, all that stuff. It would be funny if it did happen, but it's not going to happen. Yeah. Mike McDaniel, I think he probably gets another job as an OC again because I do think he's still a very good offensive mind. And I do think the offense didn't just fall off a cliff after week one. I thought McDaniel's play calling was good at times, but Tua would just make wrong reads. Like there would be plays where even early in the season, McDaniel will scheme Tyreek Hill open, and then Tua will either just not let it rip or just not see it, just not throw the ball. So, yeah, it's for the Dolphins. I think just a whole organizational reset was necessary, and I think I think if you are a Dolphins fan, you should feel decent to good about the future. Now, let's go to Baltimore, where John Harbaugh is out as the Baltimore Ravens head coach. This happened on Tuesday evening, I believe. After that heartbreaking loss that ended the season, he's out. I heard some Ravens fans celebrating. Here's what I'll say: be careful what you wish for. And I'm not saying that as a like, oh, they can't find better. Again, I put it out on my Twitter account. If I was the Ravens, my first call would be Flores. I think it keeps the defensive background, brings in some defensive toughness, and also with the talent, the defense has really been the problem since Mike McDonald left. Flores would get that straightened out right away, especially with the talent that he would have. So I think he would be a good hire. But look, people will want that job. Almost like, look, you're gonna have a quarterback in Lamar Jackson. Harbaugh got fired because people thought a lot of people in the building in the fan base thought, look, we won a Super Bowl in 2012 with this guy, cool, we can't do it again. Blaming him for the reason you haven't won anything is kind of crazy. Just because, look, last season, it's not his fault Lamar just drops the ball against Buffalo. It's not his fault that Lamar throws a bad pick last year. It's not his fault Mark Andrews drops the 2-point conversion to tie the game. It's not his fault Mark Andrews fumbles in that game. Even going back to the AFC Championship game, if you want to blame him for Todd Monken not running the ball, I completely understand. Even like going back to the Sunday game, like, bro, Harbaugh they were prepared, had his team ready to go. He put them in a position to win. in my opinion. Now, should he have ran the ball maybe on that last down before uh before he before they kicked it? Yeah, maybe. But again, they're trying to center it, and you see a lot of coaches do that, and it works out. It's a 44-yard field goal. You can't make a 44-yard field goal from dead center. Tyler Loop, you gonna blame Harbaugh for that? That's a choice. Okay, that's a choice. Okay, even in week one, we blaming Harbaugh for Henry fumbling. We're gonna blame Harbaugh for that game. I mean, I guess you could say the decision to not go for it on 4th and 3 and give it back to Allen. I guess you can criticize him for that. Fine. It's just like, oh, okay, in 2020, what was that? 2, where Snoop Hungley's going across, it gets knocked away. Sam Humbert takes it all the way back for a touchdown. That that's not a hard ball. That's just a Bengals player making a heck of a play. 2020, Lamar, it's a 10-3 game. They're in the red zone. Lamar throws a pick six that essentially ends the game. I'm just saying, like, Baltimore has been so unclutched. Like, they're in these games. Are you not going to give him credit for being in these games? They're in these games. They're just not executing late. And it's from the players that outside of loop is from players that you expect to execute that just aren't executing. Like Baltimore is so unclutch. Is that look? I don't know. Does it change with a new head coach? We'll see. I mean, look, if the same thing happens next season and they lose in heartbreaking fashion, a lot of people will be like, "Told you, told you." And it's also not, and I also think it's not his fault that his 2-time future Hall of Fame NFL MVP quarterback has underperformed in big. You just gotta call a spade to spade. He has underperformed in big moments. He has not been the same quarterback in the regular season as he's been in the postseason. If you think that's not a fair criticism, you're either not watch the games or look at the numbers. It's not. He's not the same quarterback. What, we're blaming Harbaugh for that too? So my whole thing is, do I do I think John Harbaugh is still a great coach? Yes. Do I think it was warranted for him to be fired? Nah, not really. But I do get it. I do get it, and the reason I get it is because 18 years, they felt like they needed a new voice. Maybe it's best for both sides to get a new start. I don't know. John Harbaugh is either taking a year off or he's getting another job this cycle. Now, the report is he's waiting until next week to do interviews. Look, he's waiting to see if the Bills or the Packers just fold in the playoffs and if one of those jobs comes available. I guarantee you, if the Bills fire Sean McDermott, Harbaugh's going to Buffalo with that. I'm just telling you, he'll look at that and be like, ooh, I get to coach Josh Allen. Maybe get my gotta get the defense right, obviously, but shoot, I get to be competing for Super Bowls basically right away again. Let's roll. So yeah, John Harbaugh's going. He has his pick of the litter here. I mean, you got Miami, you have the Giants. Browns will be interested. Arizona, like he's got the pick of the litter here. So we'll see where he goes, and we'll see who Baltimore hires. This shall be fun. Now, let's go to the college football playoff semifinals. And the keys to the game. Ole Miss, Miami. Here are some of my keys to Ole Miss versus Miami. I wrote down my points. Can Miami's defensive line take over the game? What do I mean by that? Can Ruben Bain, can can Akeem I keep forgetting his last name. Can he can those guys on the defensive line take over the game and just wreck Ole Miss? It's a difficult matchup, I think, for Miami because Miami gets after the passer, right? And they play with such great motor and effort, but they don't rotate a lot. And you saw when Ohio State was able to go up tempo, it was working. Ole Miss offense is not predicated on the greatest offensive line. Just wearing it's not predicated on that. Can they run the ball? Yes. Does Chambliss have good protections at times? Yes. But this offense is predicated on getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands quick, let the athletes make plays in space. And we're going to go up tempo, no huddle, and we are going to wear you down that way. This offense isn't predicated on these long. They're going to score quickly. All Also, another key to this game is the explosives. College football is a game of explosives. Ole Miss, in terms of are they going to be able to create enough explosives? I think I think Trinidad Chambliss, a key in this game is going to be his legs. He's got to use them. Um, Trinidad Chambliss is to me is one of these guys left that just has that some type of magic about them. It's weird because what you're going to see is you're going to see Ole Miss saying, you know what, we're putting the game in our quarterback's hands. We're gonna let it rip. He's gonna be making all these plays all schedule. And then you're gonna see Carson Beck and they're just gonna run the football. Their Beck is gonna make good decisions, maybe throw it deep a couple times. But we're just gonna go and make the winning plays. Like you're going to see a contrast in styles here. I also think a key now for Miami is time of possession. Time of possession. Will Miami run game be able to control the clock? And if it is, Miami, you do not want to go band for band against Ole Miss, meaning a shootout. You don't want to get in that because you're probably not going. You want in this game to be able to the shorten the possessions. You want to be able to shorten the possessions uh against this Ole Miss team. The more possessions this Ole Miss team gets, the more dangerous they are because of how potent they are on offense. I mean, if you just look at Miami, even in the last game against Ohio State, like they were able in that first half to really control the time of possession. Ohio State didn't have it a lot. Obviously in the second half they kind of evened it out, but their ability to run the ball. I also think the key is what Cristobal said, mass kicks butt. Paraphrasing. He used the other word, mass kicks butt. That's what it is. He when the way Miami has beaten teams is they lean on you, which they run the ball. They stay consistent with that. They lean on you for 4 quarters, and when you have they're big. They're big. Those offensive linemen, they're big and they're physical. And when they lean on you consistently for 4 quarters, at some point that damp is going to break. You saw it against Texas A&M to a degree, and you saw it against Ohio State. 6 minutes left in the game to go. The Ohio State defense has been great all year. Miami drove that ball. They ran it right down their throats. They drove it down the field and put the exclamation point on it. That's what they did. Right. So I think if Miami can do that, they obviously can find a way to win. Another thing, uh, another big key for this game, and then I'll go to IU Oregon. Another big key in this game is how effective will the run game be for Ole Miss? How effective will it be? Keywan Lacey might be in I don't, not even might. I think he's the best back left. Obviously IU uses the 2-back system. Oregon, the freshman backs out, which is brutal. And then Mark Fletcher's fine, but I think Keywan Lacey, pass pro, running the ball, catching it out the backfield, making guys miss, can run people. Like, Keywan Lacey is a special talent, in my opinion. How effective will it be against Miami? Look, in 2 games here in the CFP, Texas A&M and Ohio State's run games were basically non-existent. A&M averaged 2.5 yards per carry. Ohio State averaged 1.9. Can Ole Miss be able to run the foot? How effectively will they be able to run the football? They've been able to run it effectively against pretty much every team they played this season. Even if you go back and look here, even in the CFP run, they run for 151 yards against Tulane. Granted, it's Tulane, but still, against Georgia, they were able to run it for 111 yards. Keywan Lacey did have 2 touchdowns, and he had 98 yards on the ground. Obviously, Trinidad Chambliss was playing video game mode, but I just think to me, the difference in this game, I think, because these 2 teams are so interesting. I think the difference in the game is the quarterback. And I do believe that Ole Miss wins. I think Trinidad Chambliss, I think there is some magic there. And I do believe Ole Miss finds a way to. Some teams go on magical carpet rides, and you just don't know how to explain them. I think I'm not sure how Ole Miss is going to win this game, but I think they're going to win it. Give me Ole Miss to win this one in a thriller. I think they win this 27-24. I think it's like the slide of margins, and they find a way to win the Fiesta Bowl, and they advance to the national championship. Now, let's go to IU versus Oregon, Part 2. IU coming off of that dominating win against Alabama, 38-3. Oregon coming off that dominating win against Texas Tech. These 2 teams played early in the season. You go back to that matchup in Eugene. Indiana really, if it wasn't for Mendoza Mendoza pick six, this game isn't really as close as the final score was. Uh, I think their ability to stay with the run game, I thought in that first game was key. Uh, in big moments, they really had no answers for Elijah Surratt. They didn't. Look, the to me the key to the game is going to be what the key was in the first matchup. The young Oregon corners versus the veteran Indiana wide receivers. And it's different now because Charlie Becker hadn't really come on yet. Now he's come on, now he's a threat. And obviously you got Omar Cooper and Elijah Surratt still there, so we'll see. I think also a key in this game, they were able to fluster Dante Moore. Oregon's offense didn't get a lot going. Will Indiana's defensive line, they were able to get 6 sacks on a game against Oregon. The defensive line for Indiana, do they dominate the line of scrimmage? What Indiana likes to do is they like to shrink these games. And you're going to have to be more disciplined and out execute them play in and play out for 60 minutes. And I mean, even like Indiana really, they were so efficient. They efficiency you to death. But it was, I mean, even in the game against uh Alabama, I don't even know how many total plays they ran. I think it was something crazy. Like they only ran like 65 plays. And they scored 38 points and beat them by 35 in a game that, I mean, what Indiana does to you, obviously they out execute you play in, play out. But they shorten these football games. They're very balanced. They shorten these football games. They keep they're very balanced. They run the football. They obviously Mendoza's great in terms of they throw the football. They also are able to get you off the field so quickly because they're great in the run game and they're good against the pass. So the key for Oregon here is Oregon cannot make mistakes. Like that's in really for both teams, but I'm just saying Oregon, they made so many mistakes in that first game. And Indiana made some mistakes too, so that was able to keep them in it. If Indiana doesn't make any mistakes and Oregon does, they're gonna lose. Oregon has to find an advantage somewhere in this football game, but I don't even know if they have it. I think Indiana's the better football team. I think Signetti will have them ready to go. I think Indiana out executes Oregon to a T. I think they win this game in Atlanta on Friday night. Give me Indiana to win this game. I'll say 27-17. All right, everybody. This is been another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next time, see ya.